Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to the Twin Flames podcast, hosted by Melyzabeth Love. Melyzabeth Love is a twin flame, in divine union with her twin, in 3D and in 5D. Melyzabeth invites you to connect with her on social media. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter. Find her by name. That's Melyzabeth Love. Melyzabeth works one-on-one with twin flames in separation to help speed their journey to union. If her words resonate with you, please contact her on social media to find out more. But for now, please sit back and stay tuned. I'm Shane Peterson, your announcer, and we'll be right back with your host, Melyzabeth Love.
Welcome to the Twin Flames podcast. I'm Melyzabeth Love, and today I will be interviewing Ellen Red. Ellen is a very well recognized and respected twin flame expert. She has several groups on Facebook. I'm not even really sure what all Ellen does. So Ellen, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the folks and let us know a little bit about who you are, what you do, all that good stuff. So let's get going.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, by the way, for having me on. I am a twin flame. I've been on my twin flame journey for about 10 years now. And so I've been guided over the years to become a twin flame coach. And so I do Ascension guidance, shadow healing, twin flame coaching, energy healing, that type of thing. And right now I just have I have a YouTube channel. It's just under Ellen Red. And I also have, I think you know me from the group Twin Flame Initiates. I have a page called Twin Flame Initiates and Twin Flames Initiates, so you can pull it up either way. But, I'm just here to help assist everybody else on their journey now through the process, because as you know, it's quite treacherous, isn't it, to go through Ascension?
Treacherous. I think treacherous is an excellent word. So, I'm like you. I'm a twin flame coach. I don't remember. Did you say you did twin flame readings, or is that not in your wheelhouse?
Yes.
Okay. I do coaching. I do readings. It sounds like we do some of the similar stuff. I do energy work. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little more about sort of your twin flame journey. I think because it kind of tends to drop on us I like to say like a load of bricks on our head. How we started down this path, and people always I love to hear the stories. I think my listeners love to hear the stories. We like to know how people ended up where they are right now.
Yeah, no, I know, I agree. I love to hear everybody else's stories too, because they're so unique, really. I mean, some of what we go through is a little bit of a common thread there, but the stories themselves are unique. And I know for me, I went through quite a really rough kind of a lifestyle. I had a lot of great, awesome things where I was able to go to college and travel around the globe and all sorts of things, but I also had a lot of real, challenging circumstances in my life. And it just seemed like, after all this hard work of putting myself through school and raising a kid and, on my own as a single parent, and I was hustling. I got my real estate license and I was doing real estate in Las Vegas and, all these things. I had been on television and radio and everything fell apart, and it was so devastating for me, but eventually that kind of caused me to have an awakening, because it was like everything I kept trying to reach for just fell apart in my hands. And eventually I ended up, having a lot of failed relationships and just real, problems in that area. And eventually I went into surrender mode and gave myself to Source. And when I did, I kind of made a prayer. And in my prayer, I really prayed that I would be led to the one for me, because I was sick and tired of having my heart broken. And I had recently started getting downloads about twin flames. I never heard the term before or anything like that, but I was getting downloads on this divine mate, right? And so I was getting visions about being in a castle somewhere and having a baby and being the queen of the castle and having this mate that was my king or whatever. And it was such profound visions and downloads that I couldn't really deny what it was. But I was dating this other guy at the time, and so I was like, wait a minute, is he the one? Like, really? And and he was a real jerk of a person. And so, and so I was kind of like, I was in prayer and I was like, God, really? Are you kidding me? This one of all people, this is the one? Like, what? I was really questioning, like, why I would be paired with somebody that was such a narcissistic person. I think this is part of the journey that a lot of people go through when they become a twin flame, or when they get initiated into the twin flame journey, is that you do go through somebody first. I think the catalyst, right?
Yes.
Did you have that experience?
I did. Yeah.
You did. Okay.
I did.
Yeah. So pretty much it caused me to go into even further, deeper questioning, and then that questioning caused me to learn unconditional love with that catalyst person. And so while I was with him and I was getting all these downloads, I was really learning unconditional love. So even if he was wanting to go be with another woman, or he was being secretive or whatever behind my back, or he was being dismissive of me, or what, he was a real not a nice person. And so the whole time that I was going through that, I was learning how to just love him and hold space for him and hold my own balance in myself, to where, I was learning I don't want anything to do with him. If he tries to give me a gift and it's not from a good place, I don't want it. And I was going through all those lessons, and then eventually I literally felt my heart tear open with him. And
it sounds like he kept giving you the gift of trigger, because those are gifts.
Yeah. Yep. He was the catalyst that caused me to really learn first what love is, and how to hold my balance in between me loving somebody else, and the balance between self-love versus love for somebody else. And so it was the greatest blessing, obviously, but at the time it didn't feel like it, of course.
Right.
And I would go home and I would just bawl my eyes out and pray, and I really went through it with him. And I didn't even like him, honestly. I would have broke up with him had I not been getting all of those visions and downloads. And so I was pretty sure that he was the one then. Why was I getting all this spiritual, insight?
Yeah.
But eventually I realized that it was the spirit moving me through this person to get to where my twin flame was, who showed up in my life during that time. But I felt my heart split. And then at the time that was happening, I was also like hearing, I would go to get food in the fridge in the middle of the night, and I would hear this male's voice just laughing, like, "Oh, this is funny." Like he could see me, it was like this telepathic communication. And I thought it was the other mate, but it turned out to be my true twin, which I learned later. But anyway, it took about 9 months for me to realize that the guy online, who I was also friends with, was actually my twin. And every time I would get online and start posting, songs or messages of just venting my heartbreak, my true twin would show up and he would post the perfect song for me. And it was like, how does this guy always know right when I'm going online, when I have a broken heart, and I'm, how does he know to be there? And so I nicknamed him Trigger, because I'm like, okay, Trigger. He's like always Johnny on the spot, right? And it took me a while, but then I realized, oh my gosh, maybe I have it wrong, and I have the wrong guy. I have the wrong twin. I think that this part of my story is so important for other people to hear, because I know that there's a lot of people that are on the twin flame path and they really believe they're with their twin flame, but they're probably not. They're probably going through the same thing that I did, where they're getting triggered, right? Because it's so common to go through that.
Right.
But anyway, 9 months to Trigger being Johnny on the spot for me, I really realized it was him. And once I embraced that, then man, my mind got blown, right?
You are listening to the Twin Flames podcast with Melyzabeth Love.
This is Melyzabeth Love, and I'm back with Ellen. Ellen, I know people would like to know, what in your mind discerns the difference between the catalyst and Trigger, the twin?
My twin's name is Brett, and I call him Trigger, so you can call him either one. But what helped me?
I like Trigger.
He jokes and says I'm Trigger, but anyways, so how I realized that he was actually the twin is it took, like I said, I was a stubborn kind of a mule of a person. And so I was dense and stubborn about it.
Oh, I feel that stubbornness in your energy, my dear. I feel it.
I know. It can be a blessing and a curse. But anyway, I was kind of like slow moving and getting that he was the one and not the other guy. And so I will just say that eventually, because my heart was split open, I was feeling everything from everyone. So even if somebody was coming to me with love and good intentions and everything else, it still burned until Brett was there. And when he would even speak to me, it just soothed my whole soul. We weren't in the physical life together. It was just him sending me a message on Facebook, and it just soothed my soul. And then eventually, once I realized that it was him, and I realized that it was his voice I was hearing telepathically in my spirit, then I started to connect with him and have conversations with him telepathically. And we would go into meditative states together, and we started to learn how to do Tantra together. And
isn't that fun? That's fun.
Yeah, it was profound, obviously, and and then over the years we just became, tantric partners and learned how to merge our energy alchemically that way. And so that's something that really no other partner can do because they don't share my soul energy with me, right?
Right.
I can't just have that kind of a tantric connection with anybody, really. I mean, in a physical form maybe, but not in the spiritual form. So that's another key to it is that, when you really start to tap into your own soul, that partnership within your own soul is, it can't be replaced.
Let me ask you, define Tantra for any of our listeners who may not know what that means, and I know there's a number of different definitions. What's your definition of Tantra?
Well, Tantra for me, in my experience, is basically like it's soul sex in a way, but it's the merge really of the masculine and the feminine energy. So me as the feminine, I open myself, my channels, my chakras, my heart, my everything to my masculine counterpart, and his energy enters me as if we were in sex, but it's an energetic thing, and he travels through my spirit body. He's like the iron rod that it keeps me centered, and so he travels through my body, no different than a masculine physical partner would, except that he energetically moves all the way through all of my chakras, and we heal, we go through, levels of clearing energy blocks and things like that through Tantra. So it's kind of like spiritual sex.
It's what I kind of saw clairvoyantly when you were describing that, Ellen, was that he was your missing puzzle piece.
Oh, totally. He was there all along, but we didn't know it. And once we knew it, we were able to then master our own spirit energy, and also, I know that in the twin flame groups, a lot of people think that it's not a romantic, kind of a situation, but it really is. You're the greatest really lovers of all time, right?
There are so many ways there's so many different types, in my opinion, of spiritual relationships where you have a divine counterpart of some sort, and there are plenty of spiritual relationships where your divine counterpart may not, in fact, be a romantic connection. But the way I define twin flames is it really does have to be a romantic connection to be a twin flame. And I know some people are going to hear this and it's going to trigger them, but frankly, folks, it's just a label. And labels don't matter. A lot of people, I believe, come to the twin flame journey. They get in the groups, they start researching what's going on in their life, and they keep seeing this term, and they read about it, and it doesn't precisely match their experience, but it's the closest thing they can find. So by default, they will label themselves and their counterpart twin flame, when in point of fact, there's some other type of divine counterpart, which it's not like twin flames is the end-all, be-all, most important type of spiritual relationship there is. It's just one of many, but so many other types haven't been defined, and it could be that there's just such a small handful of people in a particular type. None of them have come up with a label for that, but I try and tell people, don't get focused on the label. The label doesn't
Right.
matter.
I try to I agree. I try to tell people the same thing, because the label will really trip you up. The label tripped me up with my catalyst person, right? And so, because I was so sure he was the one, I was getting the visions and reading, and then I learned about twin flames, and I was so sure that he was the one. I was really, really stuck there for a while.
Right.
But the difference with Brett versus, all the other people that I dated in my life before, and there was a lot of people I really thought were my soulmate or my one, the one. But the difference is that with my twins, even death will never be apart from each other again. And so that's a huge profound, thing, isn't it?
It shifts everything. I tell my coachees, and I suspect you likely do the same, it's okay to not know. You don't have to know. But when you need to know, you will absolutely know, and there will be no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly had been praying about it. I was going through heartbreak after heartbreak. I was fighting so hard to, do all the things the world told me to do to have a good life, and none of it was working. And I was really, I was really broken. I couldn't take it anymore. I cracked open, So, and then that's how we met. And had he not been as in tune with his own soul at the same time, and I think in some ways he was a lot more coherent than I was with what was going on. I was a lot more floaty and disoriented, but he was very clear, and he was very adamant about our soul connection. So it helped me to stay on par along the way, because as you know, even after this initial bubble stage and the honeymoon stage of meeting like that, which was fantastic, but then of course we had to go through all the ascension layers of purification, and that's taken many, many years, which I know a lot of people don't want to hear that either.
It takes how long it takes. It takes however long it takes. And after you go into divine union, the time spent in separation ceases to have any emotional impact on you.
Yeah, exactly. And part of love, part of life really is the waves of coming in and out of union, isn't it? That you have the contraction and expansion stages. Yes. And so, sometimes we need time apart, even on a soul level.
You have been listening to the Twin Flames podcast, hosted by Melyzabeth Love. You can connect with Melyzabeth on social media: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Find her by name. Again, that's Melyzabeth Love. This broadcast is copyrighted in whole and in part by Melyzabeth Love Productions. All rights are reserved under law. This has been your announcer, Shane Peterson, coming to you from the beauty and natural wonder of New Zealand. And until next time, we thank you for listening.